This video will go over a few ways in which analysts can review the forecast. My name is Jen Harvey. I'm the Director of Customer Success here at InsideSales.com, and I'll be walking you through this presentation today. This video will walk you through the process of viewing judgment history and the trendline graph, and reviewing past locks using forecast comparison mode. At any level of the hierarchy, it's possible to see the history of all judgments that have been entered on that line by clicking inside the yellow judgment box. The person's name, the value of the judgment, and any associated comments are kept. Let me show you an example in a forecast bookmark that already has several judgments in it. I've clicked into Ian Lawson's level in the hierarchy, and you'll notice that two people have entered judgments on his line. Ian submitted 1.5 million, but John submitted 1.45. Because John is higher in the hierarchy, his judgment value is the one that's shown on the tab. But inside the yellow box, you can still see the judgments even though they were overridden. It can also be very insightful to view a trend line for how the forecast has changed lock over lock. Is the judgment increasing as the month progresses? Is it decreasing? Is it a consistent flat line? We've built this functionality into a widget that's viewable from within the yellow judgment box. To pull up the trend line, click inside a yellow judgment box and then click on the graph icon. This graph plots the value of each lock that has been placed at this level of the hierarchy, so you can see visually how the values have changed. If I were to go lower down in the hierarchy, I could also see how judgments have changed lock over lock at that particular level. Similar to how the hierarchy works when viewing judgment history, the values plotted on the trendline graph will be shown from the highest person who entered a judgment on that line, regardless of if judgments had been entered by a subordinate or not. You could also view the trend line as a specific person by going into impersonation mode by using Enter Judgment As and then clicking on the graph icon. Once two or more locks have been entered on a particular forecast bookmark, analysts will have the ability to compare those locked values side by side using forecast comparison mode. Forecast comparison mode allows you to define which locks you'd like to see, as well as which judgment columns if you have more than one judgment column configured. Let me go into our demo instance to show you what this looks like. From your forecast bookmark, click the gearbox and select View Forecast Comparison. First, select which locks you'd like to compare. As you can see, this is why it's helpful to include the lock date in the naming convention. I will go ahead and select all three locks that I have here and click the Add button to move them over to the box on the right. Then select any available judgment columns. In this case, I'll select Current Outlook and add it to the right side. Next, you can pick which column you'd like to compare these locked values to. This will compute the difference between the locked judgment against your base measure, which in our case is the current value of Current Outlook. Or you could compare against the current judgment. When you're done, hit OK. You'll notice that several new columns have appeared on my tab. As you can see, I have the locked values from week 1, week 2, and week 3, since that's what I have available to compare. The locked value for week 1, you can see here, was 10,450,000. Week 2 was 10,375,000, and week 3 was 11.2 million. Next to the locked value, I also have a yellow difference column. This column is comparing my locked value from that week against the current value of my base measure. In this case, it's comparing against Current Outlook. My current outlook as of today is 9,370,000, whereas my locked judgment on week 1 was 10,450,000, therefore giving me a difference of 1,079,000. If you need to modify any of your comparison settings, you can go back to the gearbox and select Edit Forecast Comparison. When you're finished, you can return to the normal view by clicking Exit Forecast Comparison. In this video, we walk through the process of viewing the trendline graph and viewing past locks using forecast comparison mode. Other videos and more information can be found at our community site at community.insidesales.com. If you have further questions, feel free to contact your customer success manager or write to support at c9support@insidesales.com. Thanks for watching.